Hello family! The anime begins with a young shrine maiden who is tired of living in the calm town any longer. "I'm sick of this town," she yells. "I'm tired of living this life. Instead, please transform me into a hot Tokyo dude." This takes us to our other character, Taki, who is the hot Tokyo guy. This is where Taki and Mitsuha swap bodies for the first time. It is shown towards the beginning, but it occurs afterwards. You see Taki and Mitsu not only live in two separate locations, but also in two distinct timelines. Taki lives in 2016, whereas Mitsuha lives in 2013. When they trade forms, Mitsuha travels 3 years into the future while Taki travels 3 years back in time. They have no notion who the other person is during the first switch and feel it is all a dream. Because the two youngsters believe they are dreaming, they unintentionally disgrace each other in their own lives. We next travel back in time to 12 years ago, when a comet unexpectedly came and impacted the planet, producing a lake on which the town of Mori would be constructed. This comet is due to reappear, bringing destruction with it. In the timeline of our anime, Mitsuha's mother dies. This would result in her father forsaking his family and the Shinto shrine with which they have been entrusted. Instead, he enters politics and becomes mayor of a family which has been abandoned by their father and left without a mother. Mitsuhide and her sister would then be reared by their grandmother and taught the shrine's rituals, like how to prepare kuching hamasaki, which is made by chewing rice and spitting it out to allow it to ferment. When Mitsuha reaches adulthood, she and her sister will execute the ceremony to produce her kuchi yamazaki, which will be crucial in bonding Taki and Mizuho. Later on, we find that the shrine refers to the practice of performing particular rites in order to worship their gods. This is the reason a Freaky Friday-like power has been passed down through the shrine maidens who participate in these rites. The major purpose of this gift is to warn the villagers about impending comets and avert future disasters. Return to the present. While in Taki's body, Mitsuha receives an SMS on his phone and discovers that Taki works in a restaurant. Mitsuha realizes she is running late and discovers that being Taki is more difficult than it appears. She is unprepared to work at a restaurant and makes multiple mistakes throughout the night. A brat wants free food, but when he can't have it, he begins a battle with Taki or Mitsuha. Taki's senior colleague, Akira, comes over to handle the matter, and the guy even cuts her skirt with a box cutter. Mitsuha notices the cut in his coworker's skirt after hours and offers to repair it. She is taken away by this and is surprised that Taki has developed a feminine side. The next day, Taki is back to normal, and when he goes to work, his coworkers want to know more about his relationship with Okuda, but he has no idea what they're talking about. Ms. Okuda walks in and greets everyone with a good day. Taki blushes when she winks at him. Taki and Mitsuha have realized they aren't dreaming and are uncontrollably body swapping. They help each other by trading bodies and creating ground rules by writing messages to one another in a variety of ways so they don't walk on each other's toes. Mitsuha's rules state that he must always be nice and have decent manners. He is also not permitted to shower while within her body. Taki, on the other hand, warns Mitsuha not to waste his hard-earned money on sweets and candy, as he will have to work extra if he does not have any money. Despite their best attempts, they can't stop themselves from making fun of each other at school. Taki manages to make a couple men fall for Mitsuha. Meanwhile, Mitsuha flirts with Ms. Okimura, providing Tamaki with a genuine opportunity with her. Both grow irritated with one another for breaking their rules, and when Mitsuha returns to her body, her family and friends are all concerned because she hasn't been herself. Mitsuha's friends tell her how strange she was acting and how she had forgotten everything about her locker and even how to do her hair. So it proves for her that all she went through was not a dream after all. This prompts Mitsuha to track down and meet Taki. However, she is unaware that they are in different timelines, so it was 3 years later when they switched bodies. So, when Mitsuha appeared, Taki had no idea who she was. Mitsuha eventually finds him on the metro, but he doesn't know her because they hadn't switched bodies yet in her time frame. Her final attempt to connect with Taki is to give him the ribbon she uses to tie up her hair. When she does, she tells him her name, which helps to cement their link. Mitsuha arrives home in time for the celebration. Every year during the festival, her hometown throws a party. The previous comment reappears, and when it fractures apart, all of the family is destroyed, as is Mitsuha. After 3 years, Taki finds himself in Mitsuha's body. This is an alternate chronology before Mitsuha's death, but also prior to Taki and her meeting. These switches occur at random around twice a week for several weeks. Sleep is a major trigger for body flipping. When Taki goes to bed, he sometimes wakes up as himself and sometimes as Mitsuha. Taki and Mitsuha will spend this time getting to know each other better through living one another's life. They devise their own small communication system. When Mitsuha returns to her body, she leaves messages and Taki his diary for him to read. After a while, Taki's only desire is to meet the girl he's been body swapping with. He collects her surroundings and sketches the town, but it never actually happens. First, ask him what the name of her town is. The swap will soon be terminated because Mitsuha, who died in her timeline, and Taki want to learn more about the girl he's been switching with. He takes his friends on a trip into the countryside. Taki soon discovers the fate of Anna-Marie, the town destroyed 3 years ago by a comet. Mitsuha's journal entries that he had left also deleted themselves from the Taki phone, and all traces of this girl's existence are gone except for the red ribbon Taki that he kept wrapped around his wrist. Taki learns more about the catastrophe from there, how many people were killed and how much destruction was left after the comet struck the town on the last day Taki was admitted to his body is unknown. He recalls a shrine. He went to Mitsuha's residence, which belonged to his family. He didn't know where it was, but he knew it would include information about what he could accomplish. After some digging, he discovers the shrine tucked in the midst of a crater caused by a comet that struck Japan thousands of years ago. But it's a different comet than the one that turned the Lake Mori and killed Mitsuha's, who was within the shrine. Taki discovers the Kuchikam as arguments he made, as well as a painting representing the comet splitting apart across the sky. Drinks that are Taki, Mitsuha's who are made and sees her family's history are okay, according to the cookie cam. He watches Mitsuha's mother dying and her father departing at the same time. He sees everything that has led up to this point and somehow wakes up in Mitsuha's body once more. On the day the comet is about to strike the town, we discover that the cookie cam is fine, as it includes a piece of Mitsuha's soul. So when Taki drinks it, the two connect, allowing them to shift bodies all this time. Everyone else believes Taki and Mitsuha are having a bad day. However, Grandma discovers what has occurred. She informs Taki and Mitsuha's body that heightened spiritual talents have been passed down through the family for generations. Even though her father has long abandoned family traditions, he recognizes that the person he is speaking to is not his daughter. Taki understands what he needs to do next. Stop the people of tomorrow from being annihilated by the comet. He gathers his friends and attempts to manufacture a bomb scare at the town festival so that the inhabitants will flee to the school building, which is outside the danger zone of the comet. While individuals are bewildered and afraid by the bomb scare rhetoric, it is not enough to encourage people to escape, and no one is taking their comet warning seriously while the strategy is in action. Turkey must do one thing to ensure that everything goes smoothly. He needs to get her back to her own timeline so she can help save her village. Back at the shrine, as twilight approaches, Taki and Mitsuha meet. They're still in one another's bodies, but the two ultimately meet and recognize one another. For the first time, emotions are running hot, and Taki reappears. Mitsuha is the one with the red ribbon, returning the ribbon tie that she gave him when they first met mistakenly destroyed their bond. They try to write their names on one another's palms, but twilight fades and the tie is severed. Taki has returned to his own body and timeline, and Mitsuha has returned to hers. However, the comet is ready to strike, and the plot to terrify everyone into the school has failed. People are unaware of the threat. She only has one opportunity to save her family in town, and that is to persuade her father to let the emergency services evacuate the town while she tries to run down a mountain and back into town. She had trouble recalling the person she bonded with up there. Taki did not get to write his name, but he did get to write the poem I Love You on Mitsuha. She has no idea who wrote it or how it ended there on her hand, but she can feel something inside her, something that gives her the courage to persevere in the face of insurmountable circumstances. She reaches her father in time and escapes the city just before the comet hits. The timelines have merged now that the town has been spared, and because Mitsuha one never died, she and Taki remain in the present, and because Taki returned, Mitsuha has gone. None of them remembers the other's name. It's as though everything that has happened up to this moment has abruptly evaporated. That is not to imply they have completely forgotten about one another. 12 years have passed, and the two are still living their lives. Normally, though, they both have the sense that something or someone is missing from their lives. Takis has finished college and is now looking for work in Tokyo, but he is having little luck. Then, while he's still on the train, another goes by and someone notices him. He can't recall where, but he believes he may have met that individual in a previous life. The two feverishly search for one another and eventually meet. Taki finally meets Mitsuha in person for the first time. They exchange their names. This is the conclusion of the anime. Leave us a comment on how you found this anime recap. See you in the next anime recap.